The wacky world of MultimediaJay.
Howdy folks, well, we're going to be exploring some curiosities that I've developed in the past couple of days with what we're going to be doing today. This is a keyboard, namely it's my keyboard that I use at Tuxedo. This is a piece of junk like $15 Microsoft keyboard from about 3 years ago. After 3 years of, as you can imagine, very heavy use, it was having issues. The number pad buttons were actually getting stuck. It was really hard to type a 3 or a decimal point with the number pad. And if you're used to being able to do this to enter lots of numbers to do something, when this doesn't work right, and no, there's the enter key, it really gets annoying. So I was tossing around the idea of getting another cheap keyboard. Then it occurred to me, with what I know about electronics and stuff like that, why not, and of course my surplus of rubbing alcohol, as I mentioned in the Review Tech USA response video, why not just disassemble the whole thing, clean everything top to bottom, blow it dry with some canned air, and put it back together. So I did. The result is a keyboard that is like new. Except for, of course, where the plastic is nice and smooth from wearing away the roughness of the plastic from using these things to type and stuff like that. Everything's back to the way it's supposed to be, and the thing works great. Now, people throw things out for the absolute dumbest of reasons. So if I can clean something or repair something, especially with my background in technology and stuff like that, I like to do that instead of get something new. Of course, in the past week, some gunk has already been getting back into this, as well as whatever this dust is that's been floating around here over the last couple of days. Maybe it's a side effect of things being so dry with the end of the last round of winter weather. I got a air filter running upstairs. It's almost caked in dust now because of that. So with that in mind, with these kinds of, with how cleaning, of course, has benefited that keyboard so much, I am now curious as to what it's going to do with something like this. Now this right here is a Microsoft Digital Media Pro keyboard circa the mid-2000s. This was the kind of keyboard that I got back in the mid-2000s when I first came out to this apartment, actually when I first getting started on YouTube. A lot of stuff happened. A lot of stuff started off in the mid-2000s. Now these keyboards are actually pretty decent. They still had full-size keys across the top and not these little plastic things on top over there. So when you had to hit an F key in a game or something like that, it was a lot easier because the keys were full size. There was also start, next, previous, play, pause, etc. There were also media buttons that I could use to run Winamp or something. So I could have Winamp going in the background while playing a game, listening to music, and like flip the tracks like this. Can't do that on the newest keyboard, which only has, doesn't stop slipping away here, which only has play, pause, and volume controls, which the volume controls are completely useless. Oh yeah, calculator button too. Yeehaw! Which, by the way, the volume controls are useless on my computer because I output to an AV receiver, so it gets encoded, so the analog volume does absolutely nothing. All the volume has to be adjusted digitally on the AV receiver. So, look at this ratty piece of junk. It's been collecting dust and who knows what. And of course, obviously signs of heavy use. Now, no amount of cleaning is going to take care of where the paint's worn away because of, well, hands and stuff like that. That would require a paint job and some clear coat. But I'm just curious, how much better can this thing actually get? The first thing we need to do is take this thing apart with however many screws there are. And of course, Phillips head screwdriver all ready to go. I've also assembled a, what you want to call it, crack team or whatever, various devices, including a car air compressor that I want to use to see if I can not have to use canned air. Now, there's one big reason why I want to avoid using canned air for stuff like this. Of course, canned air costs money, and the big reason to use canned air in electronics instead of an air compressor is to not accidentally blow moisture onto your circuit board, because sometimes moisture builds up on the insides of these compressors. So this thing's a little loud. This thing is a little loud, but the little bicycle tip here, this is going to be total overkill. Well, we'll just see how it works out. And of course, since I had such a surplus of old rubbing alcohol sitting around, let's use that to wipe everything down and see how much better this keyboard can get. It's usable, it's technically usable right now, but I want to see how much better looking this whole thing can get. and how much less the keys will stick after everything has been nicely cleaned out. time to get to work. Alright, we are fully disassembled now. There were two sizes of screws, so I'm keeping everything split up by screw size here. And you can see already, oh, look at all this crap that just fell out of this thing. And it's all over the table now, simply from taking this thing apart. So, what we've got is our usual membrane-based keyboard here. We got this thing, where you can actually get more stuff to fall out of the keyboard just by giving it a good shake. I want to take all those keys off one at a time and then clean them off individually. First, though, the inside of the keyboard. We usually have some kind of rubbery type thing underneath that collects all kinds of stuff. Then we've got plastic circuit traces and stuff like that. Actually, I remember every time I see one of these things, spider tripod's not that stable. Every time I see one of these things, or a set of these things, like what we have here, I'm reminded of a friend I had back in college once who spilled a beer all over his keyboard and stuff like that. So he wound up with beer going all over the place. There's not too much in the bottom. So I want to spray this out with a compressor. Let's see how good the compressor is at spraying things out, as opposed to inflating bicycle tires. Alright, this is going to get noisy, but let's see what we got. It's way too loud for something like this. Way too loud. We could use the inflator, but that might actually work better, because I don't have to actually wait until it gets all up to full speed and gets all whiny. It's really too bad this thing doesn't have an AC thing. Alright, ready? Oh, sounds like a power tool gone wrong. Ugh, I should just knock it off and go get something that'll blow air properly. Okay, enough with the air compressor. We're done with that. Time to get some canned air. I gotta figure something else out, though, because we really shouldn't need to use air cans for stuff like this, because there's no need to worry about moisture or anything. I mean, whoop-de-doo. There might be a little humidity left over on these pieces of plastic. Oops. Much better, and most importantly, much quieter. Not so much. Okay, we screwed that one up. Not so much better is that it's more expensive. Anyways, well, that was an interesting experience. For those of you who wonder why I go to all the trouble to do all of this, look at all that crap. This is the stuff that the air cans would never blow out of here. And this is the stuff that even CyberClean or cleaning putty or something like that wouldn't be able to get at, because it's underneath all the keys. But you're pressing the keys down against this stuff every single time you push a button on these things. This was a pretty interesting experience getting these keys off, because these things are actually a lot more solidly built. Even though they are crappy pieces of plastic, they are more solidly built than the ones in the newer keyboard. So, yeah, half the keys went flying across the room. I'm going to have to do some cleaning in order to find where all the keys went if I end up with missing keys. But at the very least, let's get this cleaned up with some alcohol. Actually, no, let's rinse it out first and let it dry. Okay, I've thoroughly washed off the membrane, or I should say rinsed off the membrane. Got some water to dry on it, so we're going to get a little air dry going here. This is low mode, right? Yep, I don't want this thing getting blown off the top of the fan. Don't put it over the motor so it doesn't drip water on it. It won't stay put. This fan might be a little too powerful. Not working here. Oh, there we go. Hopefully that stays put and doesn't get blown off. Stay put. Okay, that seems to be... Alright, while that's drying off and getting blown all over the place, while that's air drying, getting blown all over the place, I'm going to alcohol up this thing, get this cleaned up. The water didn't get everything out of it. So I'm going to alcohol the living daylights out of this thing while that slowly gets dried off, hopefully. It doesn't seem to want to stay put. And then find where all the keys that popped and flew across the room all landed and bring them all back to the table. Alright, time for the fun part. I hope I didn't lose all the keys over there. I guess we'll find out if I'm going around. I guess we'll find out if I'm going around looking for keys afterwards. So, rubbing alcohol time. And let's just pour it liberally all over this paper towel and get to work on this thing. Probably shouldn't have the part that's sensitive to liquids right underneath the part that isn't. Alright. So much for that idea. Oh, it's safe down there. Let the fun begin. Wipe this all down. This is going to be fun, cleaning all of this out. Let this stuff run roughshod all over everything. Yeah, get all in all the little crevices there. Alcohol evaporates quite quickly anyways, but not before stinking the whole place up. Rotten camera angle. Slightly less rotten camera angle. These spider tripods don't really work all that well for this kind of stuff. But this paper towel is absolutely drenched in rubbing alcohol, so let's just get rubbing away and hope that the harsh chemicals don't take the paint off of something. There's another key that landed on the floor. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a scavenger hunt to get all the keys back together. Which is why I'm doing this part first. I'm going to wash the keys one at a time as I find them. We're trying to use this stuff up anyway, so let's just go nuts with it. Yeah, it evaporates faster than water anyways. Might need to open a window because of the alcohol smell. Take care of the fumes. Oh, whoops, I got puddles going here. Come on. Years and years of grime and dirt is all going away and leaving a very big puddle of alcohol on the desk. I'm going to need more paper towels. Keep one of these absolutely drenched in it though for cleaning individual keys. Yeah, this thing is absolutely sopping the crap out of this stuff. So I managed to clean the membrane. Yeah, so you can actually see what's going on. So I managed to clean the membrane off, or I managed to dry the membrane, I should say, by putting the fan sideways, just holding the thing in front of it, and just letting wind do its thing. So that's absolutely soppy. We will use that paper towel definitely to dry, to wash individual keys with. Probably should put the cap on the alcohol before the whole thing tips over. Let's see. So we're doing this part first to give it the most time to dry off. That's not water, folks. It's really starting to stink too. Give us a nice scrub that. Whoops. A little too much alcohol. I know some folks would say you can't go wrong with too much alcohol, but I did say I wanted to use this stuff up. So, I don't know if you can see what's going on here. Oh, raise the camera a tad. It's burning my throat now. I think I did overdo the alcohol just a bit. But look at how shiny this thing's getting. Nothing's ever gonna bring back the paint that got worn away, but let's make whatever's left be absolutely shiny as all heck. So yeah, the odds are, because this is 70%, it is 30% water. So let's get that nice and clean. Well, at least we know that the surface of the table is thoroughly disinfected. Okay, the thing's not dripping wet with alcohol anymore. So let's put it somewhere face down so it can dry and the rest of the alcohol can evaporate. Now we get to work on the keys. One at a time, just take the wet towel and just scrub. The big thing, hey, there's another key. Big thing too is look at this crap. See this crap that got underneath? Let's take that off. How does this go together? Oh, it just pops off. All these smaller keys with all these smaller things with latches. Does this come out? Or is it? It does, probably, with a little bit of elbow grease. Not so sure I want to be using lots of elbow grease. Oh, there we go. Yeah, let's get that off of there. All the foreign objects. Ooh, yeah, keep it in front of the camera here. All the foreign objects that were inside this thing are now going away and being disinfected too, since alcohol does kill lots and lots of germs. But in this case, what I'm looking to do is restore it to a factory a factory feel, like I just bought this thing, minus of course the wear and tear that will undoubtedly be on the keys. Doo-dah, doo-dah. So April Fool's Day was pretty interesting. My dad got me with a April Fool's joke last night. Let's keep all the little latches together here. So my dad got us. How does this go back together? I think it barely came apart to begin with, so we're gonna have to press on it a little. So my dad got most of myself and some of the other folks in the family with a nice little April Fool's joke about how he allegedly was going to finally get some broadband for. Oops, that's not in right. Move it over a little. Come on, all four down. I should break the space bar on this thing. So my dad got myself and a lot of folks in the family with an April Fool's joke about he's finally allegedly getting broadband. Yeah, that didn't go over too well. You know, the guy complains to me all the time about how slow AOL dial-up is. Yes, he still suffers with AOL dial-up. Don't try to convince him of anything different, because he's going to... he will totally disagree. Will just make a big joke out of it. I gotta find a spot to put the clean keys somewhere so I can differentiate them from the dirty ones. We'll figure it out off camera. Let's put them over here at least. Put them over here so it's off camera and the mess is on the other side of it. So, no, the guy complains to me about AOL dial-up and how slow it is and stuff like that. Well, if this is what he's going to do for April Fool's jokes, then I don't want to hear a word. I don't want to hear a word from him about how slow AOL, I should say, is. That's 3 keys down. Every single one of these keys and any that I have left that I have to go hunting around the room to find is all getting scrubbed individually. See, the way these keys go together is you get your key, right? And on the other side you get these little tabs you can push in. And they're not too well situated, so I didn't break any of them trying to get them out, but prying them loose sent quite a few of them flying because these keys are a little more solidly built than the smaller keys in the other keyboard. But I can already tell, just from the gunk that I'm taking off of these things, that this keyboard is going to be really nice looking when it's finished. So, now the tedious part begins, although I certainly have plenty of alcohol to get the job done. And unfortunately for some people who like to have a nice stiff drink with this kind of work, it's not the kind of alcohol that you think it is. Anywho. Now that is one squeaky clean pile of keys. And that is one alcoholed as heck paper towel. What's the paper alcohol content of this thing, I wonder? Definitely over the legal limit. Go home, paper towel, you're drunk. Alright, time to start putting these back together and hunting down any of the ones that I missed. Alright, so here's the fun part. Because back in the heyday of these keyboards I bought 2 of them, so here's the other one that I have to clean off. I got myself a little, this key goes there guide in order to put these things back in the right spot. Time to start putting these keys back in. Hope I didn't miss any. I guess we're gonna find out. Okay, so all that alcohol later, here's the one that I didn't clean, as the before model with its really sticky, mushy keys and all the crap, whatever. So, what did we end up with? What was the end result? Ready for the end result, besides a very messy table? End result, in 3, 2, 1, look at that. The keys are actually shiny again. Not only are they shiny, nice. Another one that's now been restored to light new condition. Never was all that good of a typer of a keyboard, but much like this one that I've been using, this one is now back in one piece. I could even use this if I wanted as my keyboard that I use with my computer and stuff. Speaking of which, why don't we go try that and see how it types?